Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time, and your eyes do not deceive you. It is Thursday, and the three amigos are here. How you doing, Matt?
I'm doing wicked awesome. Sorry for being late, but excited to be here.
Awesome. And Dion, how are you?
Howdy, I'm doing great. I'm ready for round 4.
Yeah. And I noticed the name on your thing says Crash Talker. That's very creative. Very creative.
Matt didn't even realize it until you just said it.
Well, Matt, we're going to turn this episode over to you because Dion and I had a conversation last week where he kind of helped me pivot to really acknowledge that I'm now comfortable saying we are in a housing crash. And frankly, based on some text that I got from you, you lost your flipping mind. So let us have it. Let us go on attack. Let's go.
I had to spend my half an hour swearing before we started, just because I didn't want to have the YouTube get a different rating on this video. What the hell, you guys? What the hell? Oh, all right. Okay. I am data-driven.
Mm-hmm.
I am nothing if not data-driven. I have no feelings. We've established this.
Yeah,
So,
this is true.
So based on having no feelings and establishing that I am data-driven, while I will concede that there is a significant drop in transactions.
Data-driven guy. What is significant?
Over 20%. So I would call a crash over 20%. Yeah.
All right. Now, if we just stop talking right there, we all agree. We're good.
I'm not done with you yet, Dion. So I thought it would be interesting if I would give you guys some more statistics to show that the market, while it crashing in transactions, and while I agree, I'm the one who called for recession in Q1 of 2023, okay? And that I believe that we are going to give back some of the gains that we've had this year in appreciation. Those are things that I agree with. Let's talk a little bit about the overall housing market in the US.
Okay.
So I have some people that I wouldn't say are smarter than me, but they have more time to spend on this than I do. So we'll talk about our friends at Redfin.
Okay.
Something that was just published today, May numbers already published. They say that nationwide, the average of a home days on market is 31. That's almost a full week faster than last year, guys.
Wow.
Full week faster, not slower, faster. Okay. And then on top of that, that is the shortest time on record since 2016 when they started tracking the data.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk just a little bit about supply. Supply is finally coming on the market.
Mm-hmm.
We finally have options to pick from.
Mm-hmm.
My market up 300% from 1 to 3. We like to talk about these crazy numbers.
Yeah.
So I look at it and say, okay, 1 to 3, great, fantastic. And guess what? All 3 deals suck. The numbers don't work. They're way overpriced. So like Dion likes to talk about, and like you like to talk about too, the wish number, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dion loves to say that the number that comes out that the seller comes up with is based on absolutely nothing. It's pulled from the air, pulled from the ether. And he's right, it is. And so while we're seeing in Austin alone, there were 10% of the houses that were reduced price.
Mm-hmm.
However, when they sell, their realized price will still be over 20% what it sold for last year. So while I agree, the market is shifting because those things are coming down, but now everybody is feeling the, look what my neighbor got. Look what my neighbor got.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that is leading to these insanely priced assets.
Mm-hmm.
Insanely. They don't even make sense if the interest rate were cut in half.
Mm-hmm.
That's how bad some of these numbers are.
Mm-hmm.
So from an investor perspective, those are the numbers I look at, which is, and again, just based on what Redfin says, they literally say, yet at the same time, many sellers are finally feeling forced to slash their prices nationwide. So while there are areas like Austin, cutting reductions, any city. Austin, Texas had the most reductions, any city, 14%, Vegas 12%, and Phoenix 11%. I think in each of those markets, there's a unique factor. Phoenix market, obviously, insanely done with Zillow and Open Door. The markets that had those iBuyers in there, they're the ones that are going to feel the pain too. So while I agree with you that a correction is in the mix, a crash is only occurring in transactions and reduction from these insane, unrealized sales prices that when normalized will actually reduce. Dion, you raised your hand. I got to give you first go.
Okay, I just didn't want to talk over anybody. I just want to let you
No,
know
you're
what I
good.
thought, which will probably go away if we wait too long.
That's why I let you go.
How many housing crashes have you seen in your life? Just a quick
two.
answer. Just two.
Just two.
Now,
Yeah.
I'm going to prove you haven't seen one.
I'm ready.
Because people think of crypto crashing 9 times in a decade, more than 40% in less than a year. Peak to trough, sure, housing crashes. But in a year, we're defining housing crash by 20%, right?
Yep, that's what I am. Yeah, sure.
The largest drop in a year in our lifetimes,
8.9.
8.9%. We have never seen a crash that people keep calling for by the summer, by the whatever, right? It's ridiculous. So what benefits our viewers more? To be factually correct that we are not going to see a housing crash because we haven't seen one in our lives in a year, or there is a crash in transactions. So we say there's a crash because there's a word crash there. We just take out in transactions. And here's how our investing has shifted. We just say there's a crash. Here's what we're doing different. Because when we say in transactions, people stop listening. People stop watching. YouTube stops pushing it out. So we're hurting the viewer by being right. That's where me and Mike are coming from.
Lumberjack approved.
Oh, really?
We are not the droids you're looking for.
Yeah, exactly. We can absolutely agree that it's in transactions because it 100% is in transactions. The other thing that it's going to be too is it's in pricing. It's going to be in pricing. Listing price, not closing price. And so this is where everybody has to do what we always talk about, which is the work. And if you're watching that and you're watching the actual realized sales price, then that's realistic. But I think it is important to tell people that there's a crash coming in sales listing price because there is. People are way overvaluing their assets. There were people that literally put stuff in my market. They put stuff on sale in my market because there was no inventory. I literally had a conversation with the broker and he goes, I'm not competing with anybody. I'll price it for whatever I want. Dude, go for it. You get that? You can have my next 5. Like literally, Mike always says, I'm always willing to let somebody drastically overpay for an asset. Yeah. Same boat. So Mike, your turn.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things. First off, my goal with my channel, my book, my course, all of this is to inspire folks to take action.
Sure.
I talk about focus and daily discipline. I also am an open book and tell people what I'm doing, right? I have been very clear. 30 days ago, I changed what I'm doing. I'm now not looking at first day listings. I'm looking at 15 days or older, right? I've changed my market. I had unfortunately gotten wrapped around the axle fighting a battle that wasn't worth winning.
Sure.
Right. I believe, and if you've actually heard my discussions, that I will be proven factually correct again, but it won't matter. It just won't matter.
Right.
I was losing my audience because no one, you two included, give a rat's ass what the median home price is. It means nothing for your buy box. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So I was wrapping myself around an axle, trying to educate, improve in a stupid thing. A year from now, there will be economists that I follow and I talk with occasionally that will ask me, why did housing go up when transactions fell 50%? And I will have to tell them the Fed broke housing. We lost the first time buyer, move up buyers had interest rate lock in, all the stuff I've been sharing earlier. it doesn't matter today. These economists are always looking in the rearview mirror.
Correct.
They couldn't look out a window to save their lives.
Exactly.
And that's where I have lost people.
Yep, I understand. And so one of the things that we talk about, one of the things that I talk about a lot is there's a reason your windshield is a whole lot larger than your rearview mirror. There's a reason. And I think often all of these channels, because they're not experiential, they're doing the market a disservice.
Agreed.
Because all they're doing is looking at historical data and that's somehow a predictor of the future. It is not always, and that's not where you find trends, because I think one of the most telling things is that supply and demand is undefeated.
Mhm.
And now we're seeing a bunch of people come off of the sidelines, buy property because now they finally have inventory to choose from. And it's not the same craziness as it was before. I talked to a number of agents this week and they said, Matt, I'm getting calls from people that I talked to 3 months ago, 6 months ago, 9 months ago that took themselves out of the equation. They've still been watching the market. They've still been taking a look. And there's now finally something to choose for where they don't feel like they're paying a crazy price for 2 out of the 10 things on their list. They're getting 8 out of the 10 things on their list and still paying the crazy price.
Yeah. So the last thing I'll do on this topic, because I think it's important, it'll put a button on this. Back to Dion's part about crashes, and we've only historically had, our largest was negative 8.9, which we all quote. I would tell you again, this is actually the third crash we are all going through.
Yes.
Because it's the third crash in transactions. Go back and look at the 52-year spreadsheet. We
Sure.
had a crash in transactions of greater than 20% in the early 80s.
Yep.
We had it again in 2008 and 2009.
Yep.
Folks, stop talking about price. A crash in transaction is a crash. It means buyers vanish, sellers get desperate. Do the freaking work, go write offers. And in fact, I just put out a video that we'll post tomorrow. If you are writing offers today that get accepted without a counter, you are paying too much. You as a buyer have power today. This is the third crash in the last 40 years. If you do not step up and use this to your advantage, sorry, I can't help you. We are going through a crash. Matt, you want to say closing thoughts on where people can find you?
I have one last question for the two of you. The one last question I have for the two of you is, in the midst of this crash, are you still trying to acquire investment real estate?
Oh, without question. I'm trying to get 3 deals done. More importantly, this is the key for folks following. I want every deal I do to be better than the one front.
Absolutely.
I have been through this before. I bought all the way down.
Yep.
Every deal that I did in the last crash was better than the one preceding it because I can't pick the bottom.
That's right.
So yes, you bet your ass I am.
Dion?
So first, to answer Matt's question, for the last 2 years, we were encouraging people, take action, buy great deals.
Mhm.
Speed is your friend.
Yep.
Maybe raise interest, earnest money.
Yep.
Ask the seller what matters to them. These were the tactics that worked to take action.
Yes.
Second, yes, to answer your question, because going forward, your strength is in patience.
Yeah.
So my suggestion to the 300% increase in inventory in your market, Matt,
Mhm.
is watch days on market.
Absolutely.
If that goes under contract first day, okay, that buyer's out and they spent too much. But 10, 15, 20 days down the road, you might start to make an offer that makes sense to you.
Sure.
And this is how easy it's going to be to find the motivated seller. The person who's not a motivated seller, who was just selling because of the wish price, won't answer.
Exactly.
The motivated seller will negotiate or accept. And we haven't had the ability to find that seller for 2 years because it was just gone. And then here's the last thing I want to wrap up with. There is no point in time in the last 100 years where I wouldn't have wished to buy a property at that price in that day and have it now. We can look back and go, there was a time, 2011 was better to buy than in 2008. You would have performed better. But if you paid 2008 or 2011, now that's an amazing deal because this is a long game. Invest for 5 or 10 years from now. You're right. Take action in the last 2 years. Here's the shift of the action we're taking for the next 2 years.
Sure.
And you can find me right here on YouTube, Dion Talk Financial Freedom.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Mike.